They say a house has bones, but I think mine has eyes. 3 months ago, my wife Sarah and I bought what we thought was our forever home in a quiet wooded suburb of Ohio. It was a steal, an estate sale, sold as is. We spent the first few weeks painting over the previous owner's taste, ignoring the cold drafts and the way the dog refused to step foot in the basement. But yesterday, I took a sledgehammer to a false wall in the cellar to fix a leaking pipe. I didn't find a leak. I found a heavy, steel-reinforced door. And behind that door wasn't just a room. It was a gallery. Hundreds of photos, pinned to the walls like a map of a dying man's mind. And as I stepped inside, my heart didn't just stop, it froze. Because the first photo I saw was a picture of me and Sarah. Not in this house. It was a photo of us in our old apartment, 200 miles away, taken through our bedroom window 2 years ago. And that was just the beginning.
To understand how we got here, you have to understand the house. It's an old 1970s split level. The previous owner was a recluse named Mr. Henderson, who passed away in the living room. No heirs, no family, just a house full of dust and heavy curtains. Sarah loved the character. I loved the price. We ignored the little things, like the way the floorboards in the hallway would creak at 3 a.m., even when we were both in bed. Or the time Sarah found a pair of muddy boots in the mudroom that didn't belong to me. We joked that Henderson's ghost was just making himself at home. But the basement always felt different. The air down there was heavy, smelling of old copper and wet earth. I'm a contractor, so I'm used to damp basements, but this felt like something was breathing alongside you. I started noticing a specific humming sound coming from behind the far wall, near the furnace. I told Sarah it was just the old electrical work. I lied. I knew it sounded like a fan, a small, high-powered cooling fan, the kind you use for a computer server. The pipe burst on a Tuesday. Water was spraying everywhere. I grabbed my tools and ran downstairs, but as I moved the heavy shelving unit to reach the shutoff valve, I noticed the dry wall felt hollow. I swung the hammer. The wall crumbled like it was made of paper. Behind it wasn't the foundation. It was a narrow, finished corridor. At the end sat that steel door. It wasn't locked. The safe room was about 10 by 10. It was freezing inside, cooled by an industrial AC unit. There were 4 computer monitors on a desk, all of them dark. But the walls were covered in Polaroid and 4x6 prints. I walked to the first wall. It was labeled the acquisition phase. It was us, at our old place, in our old city. There were photos of Sarah at the grocery store, photos of me at work, photos of us sleeping. I felt a wave of nausea hit me. This wasn't Henderson. These photos were recent. Some were dated from just last month. I moved to the next wall, the integration. These were photos taken inside our current home, but they weren't taken by a hidden camera. The angles were wrong. They were taken by someone standing in the room with us. There was a photo of Sarah in the shower, the steam blurring the lens. There was a photo of me, sitting on the sofa watching TV, taken from the dark shadows of the hallway just 10 feet away. Retention spike. I realized then that we hadn't been living alone for a single second. But then I saw the final wall, and that's when the true terror set in. The final wall had only one photo on it. It was a picture of the very room I was standing in. In the photo, a man was standing in the corner of the room, his face obscured by a nylon mask. He was holding a camera, and in the background of that photo, through the open steel door, I could see myself, holding the sledgehammer, looking at the wall I had just broken down. The photo was still warm. The ink was still wet.
I didn't scream. I couldn't. I spun around, expecting to see the man in the mask standing in the corridor. Nothing. Just the sound of the leaking pipe and the hum of the AC. I grabbed the wet photo and ran. I grabbed Sarah, threw her in the car, and we didn't stop driving until we hit a police station 3 towns over. The cops went in heavy. They searched every inch of that house. They found the room. They found the photos. But they found something else, too. Underneath the desk in that safe room, there was a trap door. It didn't lead to a crawl space. It led to a series of narrow tunnels built between the floors and walls of the house. A second inner house that allowed someone to move from the basement to the attic without ever being seen. But here's the thing that haunts my sleep. The police found the man's nest in the attic. They found his clothes, his food, and his camera equipment. But they never found him. 2 weeks later, we were staying at a hotel, trying to figure out what to do with a house we could never live in again. I was scrolling through my phone, trying to find a photo of our dog's vaccination records to give to the kennel. I stopped at the very last photo in my library. It was a photo I didn't take. It was a picture of Sarah and me, asleep in our hotel room bed, taken from the vent directly above our heads.